To me some of the things that being in this business goes viral, especially when someone makes a disingenuous kind of just a joking and has a joking take. Because my co-host on Rufino and Joe's show, Joe De Leon, got ripped alive for his take on Kyle Field. But I don't know if that is as bad or as good as booty rocking everywhere in Monroe this year, as General Booty has now committed to the ULM Warhawks. They got their quarterback. Now, General Booty last year, did, if I'm not mistaken, didn't he go to junior college? I think he did go to junior college last year before transferring. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I can't remember. But nevertheless, General Booty has transferred to ULM. Good on him. Another Booty at quarterback in the state of Louisiana. Always good, I guess, to have a Booty rocking everywhere at quarterback in the state. We got lots to discuss. LSU sent out a tweet to their collective after I rambled on for 45 minutes last night. We'll touch on that as well. Also, Javier Suggs has a commitment day today. I would expect that later this evening. Now, we are not going to be able to go later this evening. We have had a very interesting spring, whether it be graduations, T-ball, regardless of what it is. So we're live here at 2. Tell all your friends, share the show to all of your friends. We will greatly appreciate you doing that as well. I'll tell you what I think about Suggs. I'll tell you my thoughts on Wesley Walker, who from Tennessee, where that stands. We got some things we need to discuss. Jay Johnson meets with the media. So yeah. Very entertaining. Oh, by the way, I'll probably go on a rant here or there as well, too. So we'll touch on that. I gotta say, I just tweeted this out too, and we'll talk some LSU baseball here at the end. I gotta say, I see a lot of debate in reference to this college football video game, the CFB 25 coming out, and who's going to be on the cover and people debating it. I'm just going to tell you this. I could care less. I could legitimately care less who is on the cover of college football 25. I am going to play that game until these fat fingers, fall off. There's nothing on that game that I'm not going to do. I'm going to take a G5 team, get them into the playoff as a 12 seed, get them to win a national title, get hired by another Power 5 school, make them tell me that they are going to give me tons of money in NIL so that I can go and poach players and have dynasty runs. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take LSU and we're going to dominate for at least 20 seasons. For someone as myself, when this game came out on my birthday week every single year growing up, it is one of the things that I used to enjoy in my childhood, even when I was in college. I loved every bit about it, and I'm going to continue to do it. Guys, they could put the poo emoji from your iPhone as the cover. I don't care. They could put anything on that son in a bit. It won't matter to me. You know, we have so many things that we're debating and arguing about in college football, that the one thing that I think, which is ironic because all of this NIL started from this video game, ironically, but, you know, like it's wild to me. Very wild to me, like all the things that we shouldn't be arguing about. Oh, he's not on the cover. Grow up. You know what's also interesting? because the cover release I'm expecting is going to be coming out tomorrow. Apparently, excuse me and forgive me for not keeping up with when those things are going to be released. I will say this, and this is coming from the bottom of my heart here, okay? And I mean this with all sincerity. I have seen people coming out today, oh, well, players still aren't going to get paid enough when it comes to how much money they're making from the video game. Oh, you mean that like the way that they haven't been getting paid from TV revenue over the last 2 decades? 3, 4 decades? And you're worried about the video game? Now, again, it's ironic that the video game was what started all this in the Ed O'Bannon case, but cut me a break. Sometimes I sit back and wonder to myself, what are we actually all arguing over? Like, what are y'all arguing over? It's insane. It's insane. All right, couple comments before we get rolling. Dylan Smith with a $199 super chat. Thank you so much, good sir. He says, Blake, is there any way Connor Griffin, I'm assuming he means comes to LSU with NIL? Do I think that there's a chance? In the NIL era, yes, there's always a chance. Do I think it's plausible? No, I do not. I think the kid's a top 5, top 10 pick, and his signing bonus probably is going to be worth, I would assume, what you just his signing bonus alone is going to be worth what you would give him. I don't think that he comes here. That doesn't mean that I don't believe that Jay Johnson and others have not done their due diligence and being prepared that if the kid wants to come, that they can do something. So with all of that being said, yeah, do I think there's a chance? Yes. Do I think that there's a strong chance? No, I do not. I'd put like maybe 5-10% on it. Trent, what's up, man? Says, I cannot wait to play that game. Me too, man. Me too. I can't. Again, you know, like, man, listen, we've done 934 shows on AYS, another 200 on Rufino and Joe show, 1,000 episodes in, and coming out here every day, talking to you, coming up with topics, researching topics, forming my own opinion. I cannot believe what some of the shit that we argue about is. Like, you got grown ass men worrying about what's on the cover. Who gives a flying shit? You like, all we should be carried about or care about is playing the game. Like, that's all that I care about. Anyway, Moist on YouTube says, what's up, Blake? Checking in from the 253 again. Dad's doing much better. Glad to hear that. He said he says he'll be back in the 504 225 soon. Good to hear, Moist, that your dad is doing better. You know, man, I don't know. I'm kind of disjointed today. For, you know, I just think we need to put some things into perspective. And Moist, I'm glad that your dad. I say that. I'm glad to see that your dad's doing better, man. That's always awesome to hear really cool stories like that. C. King says, Blake, you coming on early to avoid the Suggs melt this evening. And then 2 side-eye emojis and 2 rolling on the floor laughing emojis. We will talk about Suggs out of the break. I got to admit something here. Does it seem as if LSU does have the momentum, as we spoke about last night, going into this? Yes, it does seem that way. I just don't like when, like, how do I want to explain this? I think Kentucky is still battling with you. I never trust when things are this quiet. And normally when you get recruits, either from the portal or from high school recruiting, around here, it's never this quiet. And those things tend to scare me a little bit. I'm going to give you my opinion, some things that I've heard. excuse me, there's a reason why I have not made a decision, okay, or put in anything on the website or anything like that. Because, guys, quite honestly, I don't know how much I trust some of the things, number one, that I've heard, and not saying that the person or the people that I talk to that I don't trust, because I trust them vigorously, relentlessly. However, what I would say is I don't know how much I trust the process, and I'm more actions oriented than word oriented. I never, if something feels off, something feels off. But again, you saying that, me saying all of this, again, I don't know. Like I don't know at this exact moment. I have my opinion, but this is not. I'm going to give you my opinion. I'm not going to give you my sourcing. Okay, my opinion is not going to line up with my sourcing. So, you know, look, you can't miss for what you cannot miss. You got late into the game here for perspective for perception reasons around the country alone. You can't miss. This kid's got to be here, and it's ironic that if things did become an NIL thing, that you would have to overpay what you believe the market value is for him. So, it is what it is. We'll talk about more in depth after the break. Moy says the only thing that matters to me about NCAA or the game is if I can play as that 2019 LSU team. I agree with that. I do hope that they have teams like that. I doubt that they will. Maybe they do. But look, man, before I get to OG's comment here, look, man, I just got so much frustration built up in reference to, like, look, man, all I want is for LSU to succeed. I think regardless of, and not all media are like this that cover LSU because they're from somewhere else or they didn't graduate here, whatever. I will just say for me, majority of the people that are on this beat and report on this team are super fans. Guys, the reason people like myself or whoever goes into this business is because you're super fans. And I just want them to succeed. So that's all. Let me just tell you this. I swear to God, I'm going to beat Alabama like a 45,000 to nothing. I don't give a damn. Like I legitimately don't. I for real. All right, couple more. Gary, OG Gary says big news always breaks when it's quiet. No. This place, man, let me tell you something. And this isn't a shot at people in Louisiana, LSU fans, or LSU media. Shit's never quiet around here. I mean, if you dig hard enough, shit ain't quiet. Shit's never quiet. When it is quiet, I never trust it. I'm just being honest. Ever. Todd Davis says, wasn't it always a so-called bad thing if you were on Madden? Yeah, I mean, the only issue with that, though, is that didn't Pat Mahomes win a Super Bowl when he was on Madden, and so did Tom Brady or something like that? The injury curse. Yeah. Dylan says, Blake, you want to get those ass clapped. Get that ass clapped. First off, pause. It's those cheeks clapped, by the way, on that video game. I'm going to beat the dog shit out of you. Ryan says, I don't mind overpaying if you get what I pay for. It's true. Problem is, you might not get what you're paying for. Oh, look at this. Nick Domain says, now this is a live stream I'll take part in. Okay. Go, Nick, from Raging Review. Good on him, man. Good on him. All right. Let's get rolling. Everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share to all those groups on Facebook. If you're on Facebook right now, share to those groups, share to your own social media pages. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, notification bell, wherever you listen to podcasts, rate, review, and subscribe. Let's talk about our good friends over at betonline.ag, our good friend Tyler Alexander over at LPT Realty, and our good friends over at J&J Exterminating. But guys, I got to mention this. We're not that far away, man. Not that far. 15 more days of melon.com/AYS to use that promo code for 30% off. That's melon.com/AYS, promo code AYS to get 30% off. Guys, look at this hat that I'm wearing. Dude, I've tested this out. They are water resistant. The sweat, when you do sweat in it, your hat's not going to be completely soaked in sweat. I don't know what they're doing with this material. It is fantastic. I swear to you, this hat, these Melon hats, are by far the best hats that I've ever worn. You have a weird shaped head. A lot of us do. So do I. You can go onto their website. You can do and figure out what size hat would work best for you, even to the straps that you need to put in the back of your hat. With all of that being said, guys, I'm telling you, if you are a hat wearer, you need to go over to melon.com/AYS, get your hat, try one of them, use that 30% promo code, and you'll get your order. Fantastic hats. Sweat on them. They're not going to stain. They're not going to be like if you sweat in a hat, it takes a day and a half, 2 days for you to have to wear it again before it's right again. It's not going to smell. It's not going to stink. By the way, it floats in water. These guys are geniuses, man. Y'all need to get over there and get yours today. All right, let's get rolling. We got lots to discuss. We're back next. Hit the like and share. Stay with us. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way for you to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, events with the first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews for all the news for each league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, college sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all of your sports information for live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head on over to BetOnline today and use your mobile device to join and make your first sports bet. Use our promo code BELIEVE50, that's BELIEVE50, BLEAV 50, to receive your 50% off welcome bonus on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag, betonline.ag.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man, he's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler, he'll shoot you straight.
Louisiana is unique. The food, the festivals, even the bugs. No, not mud bugs. Unwanted bugs like these. The ones you don't want crawling in your home or business. Trust the Shield from J&J Exterminating. We've been protecting Louisiana homes for over 50 years, earning the trust of our clients because we deliver what we promise. Protect your home from pests. Get the Shield from J&J Exterminating.
J&J Exterminating. Yeah.
We're back, man. I'm going to get to the JVR Suggs thing very quickly, or in just a quick second. So stay with us. And yes, guys, I see in the comments, people are asking if he is committing today. He is committing today. We'll get to that in just a minute. I got to admit this. My man, Joe DeLeon, who is my co-host on the Ruffino and Joe show, is getting obliterated because he said yesterday, and he said it tongue-in-cheek. He doesn't necessarily, I don't believe that he fully believes what he said. I think he was just, we were debating, and he was just talking shit because Texas A&M and Notre Dame face off in week 1. And what Joe said was, on last night's episode, was Kyle Field is the least daunting SEC home field outside of Vanderbilt. He doesn't believe that. Here's the issue that I take with this is because Joe DeLeon lost a bet, and if you remember what the bet was, it was that if Jaden Daniels was a first-round pick, he would eat a hat. Also, he said that somewhat tongue in cheek, but Jaden Daniels goes second overall. And you, as the fans, decided that Joe would need to wear an LSU hat before or all offseason until the season actually starts. He has been a man of his word. He has done that. And yet here we are. But the problem with this is Texas A&M fans took the clip of that and then shared it, and it's all over social media. It's got like 100,000 views right now on Twitter or X, whatever platform that you want to call it these days. But I want to throw this out there because LSU, by Texas A&M media and by Texas A&M fans, are catching strays. Because Robert Behrens, excuse me if I'm mispronouncing his name, he actually quoted it. And the thing that he said to Joe was, who was wearing an LSU hat, was this man wearing a hat of a team that hasn't won in Kyle Field since the Obama administration. This is what I talk about with Texas A&M and Texas A&M fans all the time. Buddy, LSU is 10-3 against you since 2011. 10-3 against you. I don't really understand where A&M fans really want to get off in saying, oh, well, this guy wearing the LSU hat says that, Kyle Field isn't daunting, but, you hadn't won here since the Obama administration. Well, okay, so we hadn't won there the last two games that we played you there. Okay, sounds good. Or, no, that's not true. That's actually not true. Bottom line here is this, and where I want to start off with this, because Joe is taking a beating. Do I agree with his take about Kyle Field? No, I do not. And I'm actually in the video debating him about that, where I don't agree with him about Kyle Field. But here's the thing. Why is LSU taking random strays? You hadn't won here since the Obama administration. Dog, you legit, LSU, just throwing this out there. LSU in the same time frame has played in more SEC championship games than you have 10-win seasons. You might want to calm down. In that same time frame from 2011 until now, where LSU is 10-3 against you, again, let me repeat this, has had more SEC championship runs, 2 of them, I might add, than you have 10-win seasons. Who do you think that you are? Now, you've won 77 games in the last 10 years. Okay, so 7.7 wins. So if you round that up, Texas 8-4. That's who you are as a program. It's who you are as a program. LSU is in the 90s. Okay, LSU historically the last 10 years, even though they had 2 really bad seasons, 9-3. Okay. So it took 2 really bad years for them to be in the 90s, where if you do really pre-Orgeron going crazy, they were averaging over 100 wins in the last 10 years. Why does LSU always catch strays from A&M people? Here's what I'd tell you, too. You probably need to go watch the full segment. Besides getting butthurt and going out there and saying, oh, this man said something really. If you know that it's a wild take, which it was, and I'll admit it was a wild take, why does another fan base got to take strays? That's the bad part. I don't get A&M. I never have. Get ready to learn Elko, though, buddy, if you're Joe DeLeon. All right. I do see a super chat in here. Thank you, Derwin, for the $199 super chat. I completely thank you for that. Brandon Reese says A&M fans act like that annoying cousin who you would hope you don't run into at the family reunion. Yeah, they are that guy, man. I mean, like, you hadn't won here since the Obama administration. Brother, like, if a team, like, let me say this. That would be like LSU all those years under Saban, like talking shit to Alabama. Now, the series is starting to even out a little bit when you're 3-2 against Bama in the last 5. It is what it is. But the only other team that can say that, well, that's Georgia. And by the way, Georgia has a losing record, but they're really the only one that has somewhat of a competing nature against them. LSU is the only team in the last 5 years that has 2 wins over Alabama. You can't, I mean, A&M fans say, whoa, we just started winning. Yeah, you won 3 games in the last 13 seasons. Congratulations. So it took a couple of really bad years. The first year under Brian Kelly when he had 39 scholarship players. By the way, Orgeron had 42 scholarship players and you lost a game. And you had to pay $75 million to fire your coach. Like, I really do believe that A&M is like the guy at the bar that wears a baby Gap shirt that's way too small to show off his little arms and drives a jacked up truck to overcompensate for his small penis. Like, that's 1,000% what I think Texas A&M fans are like. You're going to have to prove me that I'm wrong. You're going to have to prove me that I'm wrong. Derwin, I will get to your comment in just a quick moment here about LSU baseball as well. But stay with us on that. Jared Addison says, Blake, what's stuck under the bill of the cap looks like a light. It is not a light. I don't really know what this is. But it's like where you can take your hat on and off, I guess, so it doesn't wear. But I like it. I need to look into that, Jared. I don't really know what that is. All right, let's get to what you're probably really here to talk about and listen to. JVR Suggs is going to be, or at least he said he's going to be committing today, which I would expect at the current moment will probably be around anywhere between the times of 4 to 7. And I know that's a long time frame to wait on, but that's what I would assume. Here's how I feel at the current moment. I feel, and this is opinion. I'm not giving you strictly opinion. I'm not coming out here running with sourcing, and I'm not going to come back later on and say, hey, man, I told you so. Just opinion. I don't think that you can get into this battle and lose. I really don't. For just perception alone. You've had some egg on your face over the last week and a half that quite honestly, I think that you need to get out from under. Okay? With that being said, here's what I think, and I will sprinkle a little bit of some things that I'm hearing. Okay? I lied. I'll tell you some things I'm hearing. I think it's coming down to you in Kentucky. At least that's what it feels like here down the stretch. I do feel good about where LSU sits in reference to the momentum. Now, guys, anything can change in the next 3, 4, 5 hours. I mean, anything. I do always like when a team gets a last visit, even though it didn't pan out for you again or with Demotic Williams. However, if the worst thing happens, and let's start with there. If the worst thing happens, I think Suggs is a good player, but it's not the end of the world. You have Brandon Lane that's still out there. They'll be making another visit. He was here. He met with Bo Davis. He wants to come in and see a little bit more. You will have a final shot at an interior defensive lineman. I think you need to bring in both, quite honestly. But I think that the young man and JVR Suggs can come in here and be a really good rotational piece for you. And I told you this last night. I don't like interior D lineman in this league until you show me that you can play that's around 280, 285 pounds. I don't like that. Historically, that doesn't work well. Mekhi Wingo is an outlier when it comes to guys that can play at 280 pounds and be relatively consistent. Now, if you get that type of production, even maybe a little bit more production from JVR than Mekhi Wingo gave you, then you're really cooking with grease, because I think, oh, all right, well, you did get better at that position, and a guy that can come in here and if he does give you that kind of production, Not only do I think, guys, is he going to be a rotational piece, I think he's going to start for you. You need him. And look, more than anything, it's to help save a little face, right? Like, you went back out there after missing on multiple guys and went after another defensive tackle. With that being said, okay, I really do believe that you do sit in a good place at the current moment. But I got to admit, I don't like, and this is just me, I don't like when things are this quiet. I don't. I legitimately don't. Normally, and you know this if you watch and listen into recruiting, things are historically loud. For me, things are picking up, but not as loud as you would probably anticipate it to be. What I would tell you is, if you're down to your last point here of getting this guy, you got to do what you got to do in the NIL race, which reminds me, last night you and I had a conversation in reference to LSU's collective. I led off last night's Ruffino's rants and segment with, you got to send out the leak to get normal fans involved with your collective. Well, today, LSU has shared that link along with a lot of the things that you and I discussed last night. Guys, at some point, and I don't mean this in a braggish way, at some point when we hit on things that LSU is about to do, maybe you need to open your ears. But the bottom line is, this is going to be the start of something that you needed and probably should have had underway over the last 3 years. Because it doesn't matter what any boosters say, mega boosters. It doesn't matter what anybody at TAF says. Fans will get you where you need to go if you give them the ability to do it. You have the resources to get the kid Suggs here. Bottom line. And to some aspect, maybe you do got to overpay what you think market value for him is. But you know what? I'd rather pay a little bit over market value. The kid's not going to come in here and tell anybody how much money he's making. And you know what? Bottom line, you need him. And you need to show that your program is on stable ground and stable footing. I'm at this exact moment, I'm not putting in a pick. At this exact moment, I'm going to let somebody else do it unless somebody gives it to me saying, hey, the kid's committed and he's coming here. At 2:34 p.m. Central Standard Time, I have not gotten that text of someone who deeply, clearly would know. I hope they get him. I really do. But my opinion is, it just, like, I always waver when things are quiet because that normally means another team is involved. And once you get a kid, normally you start hearing some braggish things about it. And I hope we get him. I really, really, really do. He's got a deep connection to Brian Kelly. And I really do. I think the kid can play here at minimum. The worst thing that can happen is the kid comes in and is a rotational piece for you. That's the worst that's going to happen. And you need him to mend that gap for you. Unfortunately, you need him to come in here and mend that gap for you. And I think that he can do that. Now, is he going to be a first, second, third team all SEC guy? I don't know that. And I really don't. But I do think that there's something to be said when you get offers from Kentucky, LSU, Michigan. Look, Kentucky's not bad defensively. Neither is Michigan, and LSU desperately needs him. And the kid will come in here and play. All right. No, Joe, I didn't. I'm not listening to that. And quite honestly, look, so this kind of goes along with it. So I'll get to Bruce Steele's comment here. Bruce sends a $4.99 super chat. Says, I don't think that the defensive line is as bad as everybody says. I disagree with you. He says, not dynamic like the old days, but can be stout by fall. Go Tigers. Go get Stewart in 2025. All right. I greatly appreciate you sending in the super chat. I'm going to have to disagree with you. Not as bad as everybody says. What has everybody said? Bruce, can you put in the comment, what has everybody said about the defensive line? Like, what has been their take that you disagree with? Okay. What part? Like, look, I'll just give you my opinion. I've been out there at practice. I saw him during the spring. And here's another thing, Bruce. Don't take my word for it. Take LSU's actions for it. Take Brian Kelly's word for it. What has LSU's actions been? They went from Simeon Barrow to Philip Bliddy to Demonic Williams to Brandon Lane, who will probably be taking another visit, to Javier Suggs. So Brian Kelly, by his actions, Bo Davis, by his actions, clearly alone tells you what he thinks of it. If it wasn't as bad as everyone says, their actions wouldn't be like this. When they lost out on the Demonic Williams, they would have, yeah, you know what? The juice isn't worth the squeeze, in reference to, we're not going out here and getting into a bidding war. I fully disagree with the notion, and I think that, and I'm not saying Bruce is doing this, but I do think, because this isn't the only comment that I've seen like this, I do think we need to take the glasses off. Guys, historically, like, people have told me, well, what about Dominic McKinley? I think Dom's going to be a really good player for LSU in his career, right? Like, in his career, sure. Guys, asking a true freshman in this league to come in here and play that position, name the dudes that have been staunch at doing that. It's different than when you have a Derek Stingley, Pat Pete on the outside, a Glenn Dorsey. Those kinds of things don't happen often. They don't. You know, I'll never forget this. I was at a charity benefit about 4 years ago. No, it was probably about 4 or 5 years ago. And it was 2018. And in that year, Jake Fromm, or whatever the year was that Jake Fromm was the freshman quarterback and Georgia went to a national championship. Was that 17 maybe? I was at a charity benefit. And I had started and launched AYS, and a lot of people from my hometown thought I was an idiot. You can never make this a career. You're a dumbass. Took a lot of people, you know, my own people putting down on me. And I'll never forget that this person said, oh, whoa, Blake, you mean to tell me freshmen can't come in here and win national titles? Motherfucker, he didn't win a national title. Freshmen, historically, it is a very rare occurrence. A very rare occurrence that you have guys coming in here doing that. Again, do I think Dominic McKinley is going to be a good player over his career? Absolutely. Asking a kid to come in here as a freshman and be a day one, down one starter is not historically going to work for you. You had 2 guys on the offensive line that did it for you. And you want to know why everyone was ranting and raving about it? Because historically, that doesn't happen. I don't know if Don McKinley's on the same level as Will Campbell. If he was on the same level as Will Campbell, I would feel a little bit better about the current situation. I'm not saying the kid's not going to come in here and be a rotational piece. I'm not going to say the guy's not going to come in here and start. But, guys, you're an injury away. Again, I told you this. It's not about Don McKinley. It's about the depth, and not only the depth, but the quality of depth. Guys, you're an injury away from a guy like Kimo Makanole being a rotational piece for you. That is not a good place to be in, man. It's not. It's not. Preston Hickey. God bless Kimo. I don't blame Kimo. Kimo's probably thinking, well, why is Blake taking shots at me? Well, you've never played that position. And this isn't a place that you come in here and learn, where you're going to have to learn against first-team guys. God forbid you play against Alabama. I mean, it's just not that place. So, by the way, in a position group that gets hurt very frequently, Mason Smith and Mekhi Wingo, say hello. Like, what are people saying that LSU fans don't agree with? Oh, well, Blake, they're not good. Okay, well, how do you explain Brian Kelly's actions then? Please tell me how you explain, and again, this isn't to Bruce, but please again explain to me how you take Brian Kelly's actions then. Because regardless if he's in it, not, if he's doing whatever, his program is constantly going after guys. That is the bottom line truth of how he feels about the position. And you know what? Going back to that interview with Jacques Doucette, Brian Kelly came out and said, well, hey, maybe some of these guys take it, as a slight at them and get after it during the offseason. Good. Nobody's disagreeing with that. I'm not the one. You're not the one. The coaching staffs are the ones who are going out there trying to get D tackles in here. Not us. So what are their actions telling me? Screw the words. Actions. Greater than sign. Words ever will be. I mean, Ryan, he wasn't a true freshman. He was a red-shirted freshman. Joe said McKinley won't be on campus until May 25th. I'm not sure how many quality reps we can get out of him early in the season. You're not going to get quality reps out of him unless he does something that might be a little bit it's not fair to him. And here's the truth. You're not supposed to rely on him to do that. Do I think do I think he's going to be a really good player? Yeah, I do. But I think that Lincoln Riley, and regardless of what you think of him, okay, guys, offensively, they didn't suck. Offensively, they're not going to suck, and they're going to throw a lot of things at you that if you're not prepared for and if you're not disciplined, they're going to beat you. Depth is shallow, says Bruce. However, Gio Paez along with Guillory will be a solid duo. Bruce. All right. Calm down. Where do you want to go? We do not judge LSU based off of other programs that are below us. We base LSU solely off of what they should be, not where they are. Now, that's going to be a mind fuck for some of you, but solid how? By the way, they're still going after corner. We don't talk about that. Carmani McClain committing to Florida today, that's a miss by us. And I would assume that people in that building didn't agree on Carmani McClain. But yet you have people in the media banging their hands on the table for Denver Harris, who we knew off the field for sure was a problem. Carmani hasn't done anything off the field to give you any reasoning. Like, he wasn't speeding through a parking lot. He wasn't doing stupid shit. Like, where's that outrage? Well, it's Corey, so there's not going to be outrage. Whatever, man. Solid. Again, to Bruce's point here, if Gio Paez and Jacoby and Guillory were a solid, very solid two, why are they going after more DTs? They don't believe that. They don't believe, Bruce, I'm sorry, they don't believe that. They do not believe that. Because if they did, they wouldn't continue to be on the pursuit and the hunt that they are. All right. OG Gary says it's always your own who tear you down. Yeah, man. Look, dude, bro. Oh, man. Ray Powell says, Blake, some people have not put on a helmet since Pee Wee football. Well, it's not even like I can't believe I'm the guy coming. Like I get called a homer. All the too positive. What part of these last 3 weeks have I been positive about? Because guys, I can say this again, just so it's out there. Do I think your team good enough to go 9-3? Yes, I do. Like, legitimately do believe that. 9-3 is not where I want to be. Nowhere close. Neither should you. That 9-3, I'm going to be honest with you. 9-3 to me is a joke at this place. I'm tired of going that. And is getting the 10 wins a big deal? Yes. But you need to be in a spot where that is the outright floor. Guys, 9-3 is not your floor. It might be your ceiling. Joe says, Blake, how do you feel about Wesley Walker? I know he has a visit scheduled. I don't really know. Look, I think that whole recruitment is kind of shady in a way. I mean, with his stepbrother and all of that, I see people saying just move Savion Jones inside. So if you were to get Tyler Barron, Michigan insiders said today that they feel really good about Wesley Walker, that they're going to land him, which leads me to believe, where does Tyler Barron go? Now, Ole Miss said, and Ole Miss people have said that Ole Miss is not going to release Tyler Barron if he goes to another SEC school, which, if that's the case, then he's not coming here. I think that for the secondary, there's been a weak attempt, and I do think you needed somebody, but that's just me. But I think it's been a weak attempt. Let's see how that plays out. I don't have really a pulse on that. I will say this about Savion Jones being moved inside. I said this a while back, tongue in cheek. It didn't get taken like that, which is very unfortunate. Guys, Savion Jones was getting pushed around in the running game against tackles. It's very difficult to move an outside guy inside when he was already getting pushed around when he was on the outside in the running game. Because in the inside, let me give an example. I do think it's easier for an offensive lineman to move from that tackle spot to the guard spot versus a guard moving out to tackle. I think it's the opposite for the defensive line. I think it's easier especially in the running game, for an inside guy to move out than an inside guy to move in. Guys, you're going to take on a lot of double teams, and when you were getting dominated in single blocks last year, what happens when a guy starts getting double teamed? Look, the bottom line is you can get mad, and this is what really kind of pisses me off. I've heard people saying, "Oh, well, the media is coming down on this defensive line, and they're going to take that to heart." Well, the bottom line for me is very simple. I'm not the one out there recruiting defensive linemen. So if you're going to get mad at me or anybody in the media and put on the purple and gold glasses and say, "Oh, well, those guys are taking it personal," I hope that they are. But again, I don't have any control over who anybody recruits. Neither do you as a fan. So now what? So now they're out there recruiting. What's their excuse? So don't come at me or anybody in the media saying, "Oh, they were pushing that this defensive line was bad." Okay, sounds good. So why is LSU out there recruiting dudes in the portal? Is it because there's media pressure? You're listening to media pressure? Hell no, that's not what they're doing. They don't think you're good enough. Chris Lomax says, screw that, what everyone said. We believe in Blake. Hashtag. Thank you. Derwin with another $199 super chat. Derwin, we're going to get to baseball in just a second, but he does ask, in football, I'm thinking 10-2, playoff run, Nuss, Heisman talk. I can't, Derwin, I can't go there. I can't go there. I can't go there. I can't go there. Because I think you have at least 4 toss-up games, okay? I don't think it's easy to play at Kyle Field. What is Oklahoma going to be? Oh, Blake, Oklahoma sucks. Okay. They have a better defense than you do. By the way, I got to be honest. I don't know what they're going to be offensively, but I know that they attacked their needs and got what they needed. What is Ole Miss going to look like? Are they going to really hit like from what they did in the portal? What's Alabama going to look like? Blake, Saban's not there anymore. Well, you better go watch that spring game because you know what Kalen DeBoer and everybody said that he was. He's a pass happy guy. Okay, well they dominated in the running game, dominated, and he has come out religiously, meaning Kalen DeBoer, talking about I'm going to get Jalen Milroe in space and we're going to make shit happen. I didn't say 8-4, Dustin. I didn't say 8-4. I said I think you're going 9-3. And until I see anything else, I'm staying there. I'm gonna have to see you in another fall camp and see what you look like. And I think it's subject to. I think I have the right to change my opinion, but we're in May, and I don't think you're there yet. All right. Let me see this. Thank you, Jared, for the super sticker. I greatly appreciate you doing that. Thank you so much. Let's see. Derwin also says, is LSU baseball done? They're not done. They're not done. Do they need to sweep Ole Miss? Yes. Do they need to win the series just to have a flying hope in hell? Yes. Do they probably need to get 2-3 wins in the tournament? Also, yes. You know what's funny? Jay Johnson was asked today about how the bad season has affected recruiting. This isn't like football, bro. Those guys have already signed. Do I think that they're done? I do think, as a lot of the projections say, they're the last 4 looking out. I agree with that. Guys, you got to win 5 straight, I think. Yeah, I think you need to win 5 straight to get in. Then if you do that and you get in, I think it completely flips the season. It is what it is. All right, I got to run. We'll see y'all tomorrow, man, or maybe later tonight, depending on how things happen. I doubt that, but just in case, we'll see y'all tomorrow, man. I got to run. Been a great 2 p.m. episode. Until then, we'll see y'all soon.